Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, September 18th, 2022. It is uh, 35 years ago today that I graduated from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Academy. 35 years ago. Yow! But it's time for morning devotions. We're going to pick up our reading in Ezekiel chapter 43. Ezekiel 43. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. Reading out of the Legacy Standard Bible. We usually don't get together on Sundays, but I think I'm going to be changing that. Um, one, to do a little catch up. Maria, good morning. John, good afternoon, sir. Um, I plan on doing more Sunday readings um, to make sure we're caught up and on pace to finish the Bible again this year. Did a couple hours of crosswalking early this morning out at Harrison and Locust. Oh, good morning. Well, I wasn't sure I was going to do it today. Hey, Max Senior. Good morning, brother. So, wasn't expecting too many people to turn out this morning, so we will wait just a couple more minutes. Then we'll get started with our reading. I also have to get ready for church this morning as well. We're leaving here in about an hour. So I came to you live yesterday from Pond out in Tipton, Iowa. Managed to remove another 32 bluegill from that pond and was able to use that as a gospel opportunity as I bagged up the bluegill to provide as um, bait bait fish for those who fish for catfish and bowfin, dogfish, snakehead. They're called many different things, but they love bluegill. And so I put out on Facebook that I had some free bait fish to give away, and the first person to take me up on that ended up living just a couple blocks away. So I walked a few bags of fish over to his house and gave him a glad to serve you gospel tract along with that. So I was able to turn those fish into a gospel opportunity. And yeah, as Maria mentioned, I caught another master angler qualifying crappie yesterday, 14 and 3/8 inches, 1.45 pounds, almost a pound and a half crappie, big fish, and caught that one while it was raining. So, all right. Well, let's get started. Um, don't being Sunday morning, don't imagine too many other people are going to join us this morning. Again, we are in Ezekiel chapter 43, and if anyone happens to stumble upon us that is new, we're reading out of the Legacy Standard Bible, the LSB, a new translation, published by the folks at the Master's Seminary, John MacArthur and Company. It's basically an update of the NASB. Ultimately, what it is with a couple of key changes. One, the use of God's name throughout Yahweh, and two, the appropriate translation of doulos, which is slave, not bond servant, not bond slave, uh, not servant, but slave. And and otherwise, it's a fine reading translation. If you don't have your own copy, and that would be most of you, if you're on your computer, open up a second window, and in that search bar on the second window, type read, R-E-A-D, dot LS Bible read.lsbible.org. Type Ezekiel 43 in the search window that pops up on that page, and that'll take you to the text. Follow along as we read, and when you get to the end of the chapter, just click on the right arrow at the bottom of the page, and that'll move you along to the next chapter. All right, let's begin our time in a word of prayer, and let's get started. Father, we are thankful for this day that you've given us, and thankful that today is indeed the Lord's day, the day that your church has always gathered to worship you and to remember the life and death and burial and resurrection of your Son, to lift up the name of Christ, to exalt him, to sit under the preaching and teaching of your word, to break bread together, to come to the table together, to worship you in spirit and in truth, a fellowship with one another. Father, thank you for this day that you have given us. And in preparation for that, Father, I pray that you would minister to our hearts and our minds through the reading of your word, whether those who are listening are on their way to church or preparing to go to church, or maybe in a different part of the world where they have already been uh, to their local assembly. Father, please use your word now in our hearts and our minds as you see fit and for your own glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Ezekiel chapter 43, God's word tells us this. Then he led me to the gate facing toward the east, and behold, the glory of the God of Israel was coming from the way of the east, and his voice was like the sound of many waters, and the earth shone with his glory. And it was like the appearance of the vision which I saw, like the vision which I saw when he came to bring the city to ruin. And the visions were like the vision which I saw by the river Chebar, and I fell on my face. And the glory of Yahweh came into the house by the way of the gate facing toward the east. And the Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house. Then I heard one speaking to me from the house, while a man was standing beside me. He said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell among the sons of Israel forever. And the house of Israel will not again defile my holy name, neither they nor their kings by their harlotry and by the corpses of their kings when they die, by putting their threshold by my threshold and their doorpost beside my doorpost, with only the wall between me and them. And they have defiled my holy name by their abominations which they have done, so I have consumed them in my anger. Now let them put away their harlotry and their corpses of their kings far from me, and I will dwell among them forever. As for you, son of man, describe the house of Yahweh to the house of Israel, that they may feel dishonor for their iniquities, and let them measure the plan. If they feel dishonor for all that they have done, make known to them the design of the house, its structure, its exits, its entrances, and all its designs, all its statutes and all its laws, and write it in their sight, so that they may keep its whole design and all its statutes, and do them. This is the law of the house, within its entire boundary. On the top of the mountain all around shall be most holy. Behold, this is the law of the house. And these are the measurements of the altar by cubits, the cubit being a cubit and a handbreadth. The base shall be a cubit, and the width a cubit, and its border on its edge round about one span. And this shall be the height of the base of the altar. And from the base on the ground to the lower ledge shall be 2 cubits, and the width 1 cubit. And from the smaller ledge to the larger ledge shall be 4 cubits, and the width 1 cubit. And the altar hearth shall be 4 cubits, and from the altar hearth shall extend upwards 4 horns. Now the altar hearth shall be 12 cubits long by 12 wide, square in its 4 sides. The ledge shall be 14 cubits long by 14 wide in its 4 sides. The border around it shall be half a cubit, and its base shall be a cubit round about, and its steps shall face the east. And he said to me, Son of man, thus says Lord Yahweh, these are the statutes for the altar on the day it is made, to offer burnt offerings on it and splash blood on it. And you shall give to the Levitical priests who are from the seed of Zadok, who draw near to me to minister to me, declares Lord Yahweh, a bull from the herd for a sin offering. You shall also make some of its blood and put it on its four horns, and on the four horns of the ledge and on the border round about. Thus you shall purify it and make atonement for it. And you shall take the bull for the sin offering, and it shall be burned in the appointed place of the house outside the sanctuary. Now on the second day you shall bring near a male goat without blemish for a sin offering, and they shall purify the altar, as they purify it with the bull. When you have finished purifying it, you shall present a bull from the herd without blemish, and a ram without blemish from the flock, and you shall bring them near before Yahweh, and the priests shall throw salt on them, and they shall offer them up as a burnt offering to Yahweh. For 7 days you shall offer daily a goat for a sin offering, also a bull from the herd, and a ram from the flock without blemish shall be offered. For 7 days they shall make atonement for the altar and purify it. So shall they ordain it. So they will complete the days. And it shall be that on the 8th day and onward, the priest shall offer on the altar your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, and I will accept you, declares Lord Yahweh. Chapter 44. Then he brought me back by way of the outer gate of the sanctuary, which faces the east, and it was shut. Yahweh said to me, This gate shall be shut, and it shall not be opened, and no one shall enter by it, for Yahweh the God of Israel has entered by it. Therefore it shall be shut. As for the prince, he shall sit in it as prince to eat bread before Yahweh. He shall enter by way of the perch of the gate, and shall go out by the same way. Then he brought me by way of the north gate to the front of the house, and I looked, and behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh, and I fell on my face. Then Yahweh said to me, Son of man, set your heart on and see with your eyes and hear with your ears all that I say to you concerning all the statutes of the house of Yahweh, and concerning all its laws, and set your heart on the entrance of the house, with all exits of the sanctuary. And you shall say to the rebellious ones, to the house of Israel, Thus says Lord Yahweh, Enough of all your abominations, O house of Israel, when you brought in foreigners, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sanctuary to profane it, even my house, when you brought near my food, the fat and the blood. So they made my covenant void. This, in addition to all your abominations. And you have not kept the responsibility of my holy things yourselves, but you have set foreigners as keepers of the responsibility given by me for my sanctuary. Thus says Lord Yahweh, no foreigner uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, of all the foreigners who are among the sons of Israel, she shall enter my sanctuary. But the Levites who went far from me when Israel went astray, who went astray from me after their idols, shall bear the punishment for their iniquity. Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having oversight at the gates of the house and ministering in the house. They shall slaughter the burnt offering and the sacrifice for my people, and they shall stand before them, pardon me, to minister to them. Because they ministered to them before their idols and became a stumbling block of iniquity to the house of Israel, therefore I have sworn against them, declares Lord Yahweh, that they shall bear the punishment for their iniquity. And they shall not approach me to minister as a priest to me, nor approach any of my holy things to the things that are most holy, but they will bear their dishonor and their abominations which they have done. Yet I will appoint them as keepers of the responsibility for the house, of all its service, and of all that shall be done in it. But the Levitical priests, the sons of Zadok, who kept the responsibility of my sanctuary, when the sons of Israel went astray from me, shall come near to me to minister to me, and they shall stand before me to bring near to me the fat and the blood, declares Lord Yahweh. They shall enter my sanctuary, they shall come near to my table uh, to minister to me and keep the responsibility given me. And it will be that when they enter at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and wool shall not be on them while they are ministering in the gates of the inner court and in the house. Linen headdresses shall be on their head, and linen undergarments shall be on their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything which makes them sweat. And when they go out into the outer court, into the outer court to the people, they shall put off their pardon me, put off their garments in which they have been ministering and lay them in the holy chambers. And then they shall put on other garments so that they will not transmit holiness to the people with their garments. And they shall not shave their heads, yet they shall not let their locks grow long. They shall only trim the hair of their heads. Nor shall any of the priests drink wine when they enter the inner court. And they shall not take a widow or a divorced woman as a wife, but she shall um, but shall take virgins from the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow who is the widow of a priest. Moreover, they shall instruct my people about the difference between the holy and the profane, and make them know the difference between the unclean and the clean. And in dispute they shall take their stand to judge. They shall judge it according to my judgments. They shall also keep my laws and my statutes, and in all my appointed times, and keep my Sabbaths holy. But they shall not go to a dead person to make themselves unclean. However, for father, for mother, for son, for daughter, for brother, or for a sister who has not had a husband, they may make themselves unclean. And after he is cleansed, 7 days shall be counted for him. And on the day that he goes into the sanctuary, into the inner court to minister in the sanctuary, he shall bring near his sin offering, declares Lord Yahweh. And it shall be with regard to an inheritance for them that I am their inheritance. And you shall um, give them no possession in Israel. I am their possession. They shall eat the grain offering, the sin offering, and the gift offering, and already um, I'm sorry, they shall eat the grain offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering, and every devoted thing in Israel shall be theirs. And the first of all the first fruits of every kind, and every contribution of every kind, from all your contributions shall be for the priests. You shall also give to the priests the first of your dough, to cause a blessing to rest on your house. The priest shall not eat any bird or beast that he died of itself or has been torn to pieces. That has died of itself or has been torn to pieces. Chapter 45. And when you divide by lot in the land for inheritance, you shall offer a contribution to Yahweh, a holy portion of the land. The length shall be the length of 25,000 cubits, and the width shall be 20,000. It shall be holy within all its boundaries round about. Out of this there shall be for the holy place a square round about 500 by 500 cubits, and 50 cubits for its open space round about. And from this area you shall measure a length of 25,000 cubits and a width of 10,000 cubits, and it shall be the sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. It shall be the holy portion of the land. It shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary who come near to minister to Yahweh, and it shall be a place for their houses, and uh, and a holy place for the sanctuary. And an area 25,000 cubits in length and 10,000 in width shall be for the Levites, the ministers of the house, and for their possession as cities to dwell in. And you shall give the city possession of an area 5,000 cubits wide and 25,000 cubits long, alongside, pardon me, alongside the contribution of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. Now the prince shall have land on either side of the holy contribution, and the city's possession of land adjacent to the holy contribution, and the city's possession of land on the west side toward the west, and on the east side toward the east, and in length comparable to one of the portions from the west border to the east border. This shall be his land for a possession in Israel. So my princes shall no longer mistreat my people, but they shall go the rest, give rather the rest of the land to the house of Israel according to their tribes. Thus says Lord Yahweh: Enough, you princes of Israel, put away violence and devastation, and do justice and righteousness. Stop your eviction of my people, declares Lord Yahweh. You shall have just balances, a just ephah, and a just bath. The uh, ephah and the bath shall be the same quantity, so that the bath will contain a tenth of a homer, and the ephah a tenth of a homer. Their standard shall be according to the homer. And the shekels shall be 20 gerahs, 20 shekels, 25 shekels, and 50 shekels shall be your manna. This is the contribution that you shall offer: a sixth of an ephah from a homer of wheat, a sixth of an ephah from a homer of barley, and the statute for the oil, namely the bath of oil, a tenth of a tenth of a bath from each core, which is 10 baths or a homer. For 10 baths are a homer. And one sheep from each flock of 200 from the watering places of Israel, for a grain offering, for a burnt offering, and for peace offerings, to make atonement for them, declares Lord Yahweh. All the people of the land shall give to this contribution for the princes of Israel. And it shall be the prince's part to provide the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the drink offerings as feasts on the new moons and on the Sabbaths, at all the appointed times of the house of Israel. He shall provide the sin offering, the grain offering, the burnt offering, and the peace offerings, to make atonement for the house of Israel. Thus says Lord Yahweh: In the 5th month, on the first of the month, you shall take a bull from the herd without blemish, and purify the sanctuary. The priest shall take some of the blood from the sin offering and put it on the doorposts of the house, on the four corners of the ledge of the altar, and on the post of the gate of the inner court. And thus you shall do on the 7th day of the month for everyone who errs or is simple minded, so you shall make atonement for the house. In the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month, you shall have a Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. And on that day, the prince shall provide for himself and all the people of the land a bull for a sin offering. And during the 7 days of the feast, he shall provide as a burnt offering to Yahweh 7 bulls, 7 rams without blemish, on every day of the 7 days, and a male goat daily for a sin offering. And he shall provide as a grain offering uh, an ephah with a bull, an ephah with a ram, and a hin of oil with an ephah. In the 7th month, on the 15th day of the month, at the feast, he shall provide like this: 7 days for the sin offering, the burnt offering, um, the grain offering, and the oil. Chapter 46. Thus says Lord Yahweh: The gate of the inner court, facing east, shall be shut the 6 days, but it shall be opened on the Sabbath day, and opened on the day of the new moon. Then the princes shall enter by way of the porch of the gate from outside, and stand by the post of the gate. Then the priest shall provide the burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate, and then go out. But the gate shall not be shut until evening. And the people of the land shall also worship at the entrance of that gate before Yahweh on the Sabbaths and on the new moons. Now the burnt offering which the prince shall bring near to Yahweh on the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. And the grain offering shall be an ephah with a ram, and the grain offering with the lambs shall be a gift from his hand, as well as a hin of oil with an ephah. And on the day of the new moon, he shall offer a bull from the Lord without blemish, also 6 lambs and a ram, which shall be without blemish. And he shall provide a grain offering, and an ephah with the bull, and an ephah with the ram, and with the lambs as much as he is able, and a hin of oil with an ephah. And when the prince enters, he shall go in by way of the porch of the gate, and go out by the same way. But when the people of the land come before Yahweh at the appointed times, he who enters by way of the north gate to worship shall go out by way of the south gate, and he who enters by way of the south gate shall go out by way of the north gate. No one shall return by way of the gate by which he entered, but shall go straight out. So when they go in, the princes shall go in among them, and when they go out, he shall go out. Now at the feast and the appointed times, the grain offering shall be an ephah with a bull, and an ephah with a ram, and with the lambs shall be a gift from his hand, as well as a hin of oil with an ephah. And when the prince provides a freewill offering, a burnt offering, or peace offerings, or a freewill offering to Yahweh, the gate facing east shall be opened for him, and he shall provide his burnt offering and his peace offerings as he does on the Sabbath day. Then he shall go out, and the gate shall be shut after he goes out. And you shall provide a lamb a year old without blemish for a former offering to Yahweh daily. Morning by morning you shall provide it. And you shall provide a grain offering with its morning by morning, a sixth of an ephah, as well as a third of a hin of oil to moisten the fine flour, a grain offering to Yahweh continually by a perpetual statute. Thus they shall provide the lamb, the grain offering, and the oil morning by morning for a command burnt offering, or for a continual burnt offering, sorry. Thus says Lord Yahweh, if the prince gives a, boy, I'm having a hard time today. Thus says Lord Yahweh, if the prince gives a gift out of his inheritance to any of his sons, it shall belong to his sons. It is their possession by inheritance. But if he gives a gift from his inheritance to one of his servants, it shall be his until the year of liberty. Then it shall return to the prince. The inheritance shall be only his sons. The inheritance shall be only his sons. It shall belong to them. Now the prince shall not take from the people's inheritance, mistreating them out of their possession. He shall give his son's inheritance from his own possession, so that my people will not be scattered anyone from his possession. Then he brought me through the entrance, which was at the side of the gate, into the holy chambers for the priests, which face north. And behold, there was a place at the extreme rear toward the west. Then he said to me, this is the place where the priest shall boil the guilt offering and the sin offering, and where they shall bake the grain offering, in order that they may not bring them out into the outer court to transmit holiness to the people. Then he brought me into the outer court. Um, then he brought me into the outer court and had me pass through to the four corners of the court. And behold, in every corner of the court there was a small court. In the four corners of the court there were enclosed courts, 40 cubits long and, 40 cubits long and 30 wide. These four in the corners were the same size. Now there was a row of masonry round about in them, around the four of them, and boiling places were made under the rows round about. Then he said to me, these are the boiling places, where the ministers of the house shall boil the sacrifice of the people. All right, we're going to stop there. And Lord willing, we will pick up at our regular time tomorrow morning, Monday, in chapter 47. We are getting close. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we'll stop there. We got 2 more chapters in Ezekiel, and then into Daniel we go. So We will finish Ezekiel tomorrow, and we will begin Daniel tomorrow. Morning, Chris. Hi, Robin. Good afternoon. Hope you all have a blessed day in the Lord today, a good Lord's day, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. I apologize for all the stumbling and stammering. I'm a little tired this morning. I don't know why, and I just did not read well, so forgive me for that. So, um, hope to see you all again tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye bye.